Okay guys, this is part 2 of the Adrenal Fatigue series. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, go back and watch that so you kind of know what we're talking about here. But we're talking about what is adrenal fatigue, are you suffering from it, what are the different stages, and what can you do about it. So I'm going to go over real quickly, just kind of sum up what are the causes of adrenal fatigue, what are the factors that are leading up to it and that contribute to the disease. So I'm going to put this picture up. So check this out. You'll see this is factors affecting the adrenals. You'll see, up at the top there, you've got financial pressure, you've got toxins, death of a loved one. That's a common one I see. Infection, just repeated stress, emotional stress. Down there at the bottom, you'll see, marital stress, lack of good food, lack of quality exercise, or just excessive exercise, too much of the wrong, prescription drugs, wounds. Of course, on the right side, you have fear and coffee, caffeine, negative attitudes and beliefs. On the right side, you'll see smoking, lack of sleep, poor eating habits. So these are all things that are attributing to your adrenal fatigue. And so you can kind of tell right there what you need to avoid, what you need to be doing to help yourself. But there are a couple different stages of adrenal fatigue that I want to go over, so you kind of figure out where are you at on this. So check this out here. This is stages of adrenal fatigue here. Here's the normal range here where your cortisol levels should be, and this is where it shoots up high. This is called stage 1, and stage 1 is you won't even know that you're in adrenal fatigue because you don't feel fatigue. In fact, you feel on fire. You feel like you can conquer the world. This is typically, you'll see someone like, for example, in college. They can take 18 hours worth of credits, and they can have a boyfriend or girlfriend. They can have a part-time or full-time job, and they can play 3 or 4 different sports, and they can sleep like 3 hours a night, and they feel fine. They can function and they can do okay. That's because they have very high cortisol levels, and they won't even know that they're in adrenal fatigue. But this stage right here is the beginning, and then if you continue that type of lifestyle, then you end up in stage 2 adrenal fatigue. Stage 2 is when depending on how strong your adrenals are and how long you lasted in stage 1, but stage 2, typically happens, maybe after you get out of college and you start your new job or whatever, and you have all these added stresses. Maybe you got married, maybe you have kids now, you have financial stress, all these other new stresses in your life. But anyway, it's now pounded onto your system for so long, the adrenals start to slow down. They can't keep up with the stresses of life anymore. And you're down here low, and you're used to feeling on top of the world. You're used to having plenty of cortisol and feeling great. And so you know that there's just something not right. But typically people won't do anything about it. They just don't know what's wrong with them, and they'll complain about things, and they become irritable, but they just kind of brush it off. They don't know what to do. If you continue that lifestyle, then you end up in stage 3 adrenal fatigue. And there is no stage 4. After stage 3 is failure, and that's called Addison's disease. And stage 3, people will start to feel so bad, and their health is going to be so low. They'll finally do something about it. Maybe they'll go to the doctor and they'll get tested, and the doctor's going to say, well, you're in the normal range, which I'm going to explain that in just a little bit why that is. But people are finally saying, okay, I need to do something about it, because it's affecting their life so much they can't even do their work anymore. They can't enjoy any of the relationships they're in, and they really need to do something about it. But you don't want to wait that long. Now, like I said, when you go to the doctor and you get tested, and they say, well, you're in the normal range, and this is the same thing that happens when you get tested for your thyroid as well. There's a problem with the testing in the typical medical model right now. And that is because they've taken groups of people at a time, and they've tested all their their cortisol levels throughout the day, and they bring all these results together, and they create what's called the mean of all these people's who are apparently healthy, all of their levels, and they create this normal range. So you have this group of people that they tested, you know, way back in the day, and they now have this normal range that you're supposed to fall under. Who knows if those people were suffering from adrenal fatigue? We don't know, because they didn't do that type of testing. So here we have this what's called the normal bell curve, and this is kind of what they're looking at when they test you. You'll have way over here is Addison's disease. This is where you're very, very low function, and over on the other side, if you have hyperadrenia, that would be called, that's otherwise known as Cushing's syndrome. Now here in the middle, this is the mean. About 68% of people fall within this range here. 95% of people fall within this range. Now you could be way over here and get tested. I mean, you have almost hyperadrenia, and you could also be tested and show up way over here, which is probably like late stage 2 adrenal fatigue to begin with, yet you fall within the normal range. And so nothing's wrong with you. And your doctor will say, well, maybe you just need to reduce stress, or maybe you need to you know, go on a vacation or something, or you need to sleep more. And a lot of those things are good recommendations, but according to his chart, you don't have a disease, because adrenal fatigue is not necessarily a disease. Addison's disease is, but that's total failure. You do not want to wait that long, and if it's not taken care of, you know, you can die from it. So that's what's going on, and there are several different ways to get tested.